Hey, good evening, guys. Welcome to day 23 of this vlog project. I appreciate anyone who has tuned in or checked out any of the videos. And as always, appreciate any feedback on topics you guys want to cover. That being said, tonight I'm going to cover, or I guess speak to a subject that I'm not super well versed in, but hey, that's never stopped me from talking about a subject before, so I figured what the heck, I'll just dive right in. So, that being said, this will be a bit of a response to a comment on my last video from one of my new internet friends, a Mr. King underscore Cecil. And by the way, we did a live TikTok together today, which was super cool. And I was pumped to get to know him and hear his story about, growing up in Chicago and, traveling to some different places between, Spokane Valley and North Dakota and kind of working all over. And kind of having a bit of a political awakening on his own, and just seems like the guy's on a really good track. And I'm excited to stay in touch and keep hearing your story and hearing what you're up to and what new goals you're setting and ambitions you're achieving. So all that being said, yeah, super cool meeting you, my man, and looking forward to staying in touch. That being said, you did leave a comment on my last video asking the question, what do I think about Obamacare? So I'll address that in this video. And I will say that it's not something I'm super well versed in. There was a brief period of time where I was interested in the subject, and I, just read like the Wikipedia article, and I had some preconceived notions about it. And so I did a moderate dive into the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. And I guess my overall assessment is all bad. We are heading the wrong direction when it comes to healthcare in this country, and I think this is just one, that was just one giant step further in the wrong direction. I think we as a society would have much better outcomes if we just allowed the free market to deliver that service, right? So there's many critical services that we rely on the free market to deliver, right? Groceries, right? So your food, your what sustains your life, your housing, your dwelling. Anytime the free market isn't allowed to deliver, housing, when the government tries to put rent controls, or the way that they put shackles on the housing market, makes it less efficient and creates housing shortages. So to the extent that the housing market is free, we can rely on it to deliver that service. Critical things like plumbing and electricians. I mean, all the different services that we rely on to survive are most efficiently delivered through the private market. Even this thing I'm talking into right now, this cell phone pointed at my face, and what we're all, most likely watching this on, our cell phones. This is super futuristic technology that has only gotten, over a long period of time, cheaper, right? So the analogy or the example, again, I go back to time and time again, my guy Peter Schiff, but he's a smart guy on the subject, so you can't help but quote him. But he explains that, hey, the cell phone that you would buy back in the 90s or the early 2000s, the big brick cell phones were extremely expensive, $5,000, and they didn't do nearly what the modern day cell phone does. And so, relatively speaking, and adjusting for inflation, the price of that product has gone down and the quality has gone way up, right? So that's something that we could expect from healthcare as well. If we were able to untangle government from healthcare and get them completely out of healthcare, we would see over time the quality would improve, the service would improve, the outcomes would improve, and the price would go down, right? So that's just kind of the principle that I believe to be true when it comes to this matter. And so whenever you have a deviation from that, so something like Obamacare, where you have more regulations, more restrictions, more government oversight over what health insurance providers are allowed to provide or mandated to provide within their plans, that's a bad thing. That limits the freedom of these health insurance companies, and it narrows and narrows and narrows the bounds within which they're able to operate, and we all are worse off for it, because then what they have to do is just raise everyone's rates. So an example being, part of this act, or what I remember from looking into it at the time, internet people, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there were certain provisions like, health insurance companies could only offer, three different types of plans, and they all had to have a kind of complete level of coverage. Well, what if I'm a young person that doesn't need to have certain services covered, right? You should want to eliminate all of those restrictions and allow, health insurance and health care providers provide a diverse set of services or products, right? The health insurance, you'd want them to, rather than limiting them to three different things that they could provide, you'd want hundreds, just like just like if you want apps to download on your phone, there's thousands, there's all the different kinds of choices, all different social media apps and tech, money apps, and just all in games and calculators and, apps you can read books on, listen to books on. So the same thing would be true if you freed up health insurance. You'd have all sorts of different plans. You have plans for young people and for old people and for people on a low income, people on a high income. And all that being said, I'm confident that if we left it to the free market, it would do a better job. And so, the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, was just one step closer to socialized medicine, which, every step we take closer to that, the worse off we're all for it, right? So the thing people don't take into consideration is this: it's a limited supply, it's a limited good. So sure, the government can subsidize it, but at a certain point there's a limit. And so where some people look at, hey, X amount of people are covered, or yeah, I guess that's the big metric people will look at, is X amount more people have health insurance under the new regime. Well, what's the quality like? Is the quality going up or down? What are the wait times looking like? What is the standard of care? What is the progress in the rate of progress in the technological advances within the healthcare industry, right? Because every burden you put on that industry, that's a larger weight it has to carry and still deliver the service or the product that it delivers. So, Cecil, to answer your question, I've been quite long-winded, but those are just some kind of high-level thoughts on Obamacare and the idea of heading more and more towards socialized medicine. I'm sure the more I looked into it, the more examples I would be able to find of how unfortunate it is that we're heading towards a socialized system of medicine. So let me know what you think. Anyone else out there who agrees with me, feel free to drop any links of articles or anything like that in the comments. And for those of you who disagree, let me know why. It'll help me sharpen my perspective, as a lot of these videos have, where I put something out and make a claim like this, and then when people want to debate on the topic, well, now I start to hear the counterpoints to my way of thinking, and I'm able to either dismiss what I think or sharpen my way of thinking with kind of more evidence to back it up. So all that being said, I appreciate anyone who's tuned in. This has been day 23. We talked about Obamacare again. It's just me kind of, shooting a little bit from the hip, popping off about a subject that again, I have not, I'm by no means an expert on this one, but I do think you can have a general impression or a general notion about these topics without being a 100% expert. So, hope you're all having a great evening and hope you enjoyed my little rant about Obamacare. And I will see you all tomorrow. Cheers.